Hello, my name is David Evans. Making this video hopefully to let people be aware of what my family just experienced, what I just experienced, and what my mother went through as she passed away. My mother was working with Emmanuel Hospice out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. I found the paperwork that she filled out to work with that organization, and half of it's unsigned. So as she was in the throes of death, and they kept reiterating that they wouldn't call paramedics because she elected to die in comfort, which clearly she wasn't in. The paperwork wasn't even signed by her to elect anything. But that's neither here nor there. It's here. But my main thing is any kind of healthcare organization providing assistance, whether it's in-home care, nursing home care, any healthcare compassionate organization has to have some kind of code of conduct. As my mother died Thursday, from the morphine, I was advised to administer to her by the nurse for Emmanuel Hospice. Mind you, I'm not a trained healthcare professional. I have no license to handle narcotics for other patients that are prescribed to them. Damn sure can't prescribe, damn sure can't administer, but they advised me to do it. So my mother sat there for hours and hours suffering, gulping like a fish for air. And I told the nurse, I said, when I give her this morphine, with her oxygen levels low and her heart rate so low, her heart's gonna stop. So I'm basically pulling the plug. The nurse said, no, she might stop breathing for a minute, maybe 2 minutes, but she'll start breathing again. It's just to stop her pain. It was one of those times when frivolous arguments or somebody else's sociopathic ways cannot interfere with what is going on in that situation. So as my mom lay there suffering, I let my family grieve with her, and I decided I'm gonna give her a vial of morphine. So I administered the morphine orally, gave it to her. 15 minutes later, heart stopped, she was dead. 10 minutes after that, hospice employees, the social worker and the nurse, said goodbye, left, got in their cars and left. My mother was still laying in the bed. Before they left, the whole reason the social worker was here is because I advised the nurse from Emmanuel Hospice that we don't have funds, no way of getting my mother to a funeral home, calling a funeral home, paying them to have her cremated. We don't have any of those funds. I get Social Security disability or Social Security income for being mentally ill through a guardianship agency. The guardianship agency is West Michigan Guardians. At this point, I told them, hey, I'm trying to get my mom cremated. I ain't got no food. Everything's messed up. The landlord wants to kick me out of here, and I don't have anything. So the guardianship agency is basically at this point saying, well, we're going to hold your money because we feel like we need to see what's going on and da-da-da-da. Mind you, what am I going to eat tonight? They don't care. But anyway, that's them. Emmanuel Hospice, as I advised the social worker to come here and told the nurse I needed to speak to the social worker. She came here and I talked to her. She said, contact your local DHS office. Maybe they can help. It was getting towards the end of the business day at that point. The social worker left. The nurse from hospice left. So I started making calls immediately. I believe the first people I called were Highland Hospital. And I spoke to a receptionist and I said, hey, my mother is in here dead. I have my 6-year-old daughter in the house with me, and we have no way of getting her body out of here. He said, well, I don't know. She's working with hospice. That's kind of on them. I don't want to step on hospice toes. Maybe you should call them. I'm like, hospice just left. Well, anyway, so I call and call and call. Hours later, I finally get a hold of a funeral home called Dykstra Funeral Home in Holland, Michigan. The man was really compassionate. He came. Rigor mortis had already set in. She was ice cold, fluids leaking, just not a way that you want to see your mother, not a way that you want to see any human being, mainly not even any animal. But they came in the room, family members had been gone, they came, cried, left. Now was the hard part. So I helped the man cover her up with a sheet, roll her this way, roll her that way. In the process, rolling her, body fluids that you've never even imagined the color could come out of a body was pouring out of her mouth all over my pants. But I put her sheet on her, carried her body out to the waiting van. The man took it away, and she's still at that funeral home right now. I raised close to $400 in a GoFundMe. He wants a substantial down payment to the $1,800 that I need to get her cremated. DHS told me that they would work with her after death to provide funding for her funeral in the sum of like $200, $220, nowhere near $1,800. But that by law, they have 10 days and they've been really busy. Somebody will get a hold of me. So I followed up with them today and they said the same thing. Somebody will get a hold of me. My mom's been laying there since Thursday. No action. Nothing. Emmanuel Hospice, for the last 2 weeks of my mother's life, my mother was using a bathroom on herself, bleeding out of a tumor that ruptured by her pelvic area. And Emmanuel Hospice not once offered to send an aide out here to make sure she was washed, make sure she was fed, make sure she was comfortable. None of that. So about the last 3 days, she was alive. I would wake up at any sound because majority of the time, if it was a sound, I'd go out there, she'd be laying on the tile floor, gasping like a fish, covered in feces and blood because she tried to make it to the bathroom and couldn't. It got to the point where I was up so long that it was just worrying, trying to carry her while she's in pain and don't want to be touched back to her bed, lay her down. Right before she died, about 2 days before she died, they said, well, the hospital says she's not getting enough oxygen. What's going on with her oxygen machine that she's been hooked up on? I don't know. So the nurse looks at it. They replaced the oxygen machine 2 days before she dies with a new oxygen machine. Apparently, the oxygen machine she's been on the whole time she's been working with hospice hasn't been working properly. So they order another one 2 days before she dies and hook her up to that one. After sections of her brain been dead, never recover. I call churches in Holland. And you know, Holland is like, they put on this image as real faith-based, real good people, real help you. Not one church, and I reached out to several churches, not one church even offered a plate of food, let alone help with her cremation. And I reached out to Governor Whitmer. I reached out to the senators. I reached out to congressmen. I reached out to FEMA. I reached out to every agency that you think should have some emergency relief, emergency help. I've reached out to. At this point, it's become a strong thought that I just want to get in my truck, go get her body from the funeral home, get her released to me, take her in the woods myself and put her to rest myself. Because that's my mom. I'm on parole and I'm paroled to this location, this apartment. The landlord comes in last night and says, well, you got to leave because you're not on the lease and her boyfriend don't want to be on the lease and he's leaving and you got to leave. I'm on tether here. If I leave, I'm going to jail. So where am I supposed to go? Mind you, my wife has a nice apartment 4 blocks from here. But because she worked for MDOC when we originally met, and because we were co-defendants in 2013, I currently have a no contact order with her. So we can't live together. Even though she has my daughter, we're legally married, I can't live there. No guns in the house. No probation, no parolees there. Just no contact order. I reached out to my guardian last night when the landlord was here, and I said, I don't have nowhere to go. I need help. You're my guardian. Even though your West Michigan Guardians do not service Ottawa County, which I live in, you're in Berrien County, charging me $100 a month out of my Social Security for doing nothing. Never came to visit me, none of that. I need your help now, though, because I'm getting kicked out of this place. I guess I need somewhere to go. Can you please let my parole officer know, or somebody, or vouch for me, or advocate for me, because I have a safe, warm bed 4 blocks from here with my immediate family that I got left, all I got left, and food there. Can you please help me? She calls me this morning and says, well, I didn't call anybody. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. So I text my parole officer, Jacob Triplett, and I say, man, what's up with this kind of, can you please talk to the supervisor, Heath White at Ottawa County Probation and Parole, and see if you can lift this no contact order, because it was set in place because we were co-defendants years and years and years ago. Since then, we haven't committed no crimes together. Neither one of us committed a new crime. There's no guns there. It's a safe place. It's paid for. It'll be a lot better and more. I have the ability to grieve, first of all, since I haven't been able to. And I have the ability to get back on my feet, get off of parole, and continue living life, be a father, be a husband, and be what y'all call a good citizen. In these levels of expectation y'all have for anybody, there has to be reasonable expectations in that mix, man. And what y'all got me facing right now is not reasonable, man. It's not reasonable, man. It's like, and I ain't gonna get into the frivolous fact of them fake ass Facebook friends and them fake ass Facebook groups where they be like, if you need this, if you need that, or I'll send an emoji that's got a tear coming out of, man, miss me. You talk to me on Facebook, you my friend on Facebook, a nigga that I know or a girl that I know that we supposed to be cool. You ain't send $5 to bury my mom. You ain't call me to see if I'm all right. You ain't. No. That's Facebook. That's most of these people nowadays. I mean, a lot of people contributed. A lot of people helped. And I'm really grateful for that. People I didn't even know donated what they could. And I really appreciate that. I mean, like, y'all wouldn't even know how much I appreciate that. I forever be grateful, man. Because my mom, she was not a bad person. I never seen her screw nobody over to the point of y'all letting her go out like this, man, and doing this to her when she gone. And it just goes to show that God told us, never love anybody more than you love me. And these are those times that you'll be like, that's why he told us that, man. Because them people that she loved her whole life and talked to and stood by and helped, they ain't nowhere to be found right now, man. And most importantly, an organization that promised her she was going to pass away in comfort made her suffer for days. It's to the point where she would not eat. She couldn't eat. She couldn't swallow. I found her covered in feces and blood, man. And not only did they come in here and say, okay, well, once I voiced my opinion, and try to tell me, sir, calm down. They offer, okay, well, you want us to clean her up? Do you want us to tell you how to clean her up? I know how to clean her up. I've cleaned her up. Who you think been keeping her clean? But y'all job is to do that, man. And if y'all come in here and see a patient in blood and feces, you don't have to ask nobody permission to clean that up. That's ethical. So it's a responsibility, man. Emmanuel Hospice failed my mother, man. Horribly. Failed my mother, man. Treated her so badly. And I really need to get or let people be aware who works with not just Emmanuel Hospice, but hospice type or hospice organizations to watch over your loved one, man. Because when you get in a situation after that one passes and you think back and you say, well, why didn't I come over and cook for her? Why didn't I clean her house up all the time? Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? The time that you are assuming she's working with an organization that has her back is going to come back, and that's going to be the weight you got to bear. So just look into it and really learn and really be knowledgeable of what's going on. The social worker, I reiterate, the social worker the day my mother died told me as my mother was in here dead that I need to contact DHS to see if they can help get my mother's body out of here, or the local sheriff's office. Yesterday, the director from Emmanuel Hospice Clinical Services called me and said, well, that's not right. We're going to try to help you. She called me again today and said, well, I wasn't able to, I called the funeral home and they dropped the price as low as they could, but there is an application you can fill out that will allocate funds from us to the funeral home so your mother can be put to rest. So y'all had this application the whole time, huh? I mean, it's so many things wrong with this situation, man. And what I don't understand about this world is you can get on the news and address an issue and make it public or national over a light bill being charged twice. But a human being sits in a house and dies in a manner that no human being shall die in. And I'm not just saying that because it's my mother and it's personal. Although it is, it's very personal. It's more personal than you would ever imagine. I'm saying that because ingrained in you should be some kind of compassion, man. And if somebody is laying their enemy, loved one, whoever, in a situation where they're suffering, if you can't help them by any means but to help them, then you do that. For you to be a registered nurse and put the responsibility of ending this woman's life in the hands of her loved ones, untrained with morphine, that's criminal, man. For you to let her be on an oxygen machine for months that doesn't work while you working with her and didn't inspect that machine is criminal, man. The responsibilities that you left her here when I call you in the middle of the night and say, I need a nurse out here, I need help. And you tell me, oh, somebody will be out there in the morning around 9 o'clock. That's criminal, man. When my mother had a ruptured tumor profusely bleeding for a week, and you kept her on blood thinners the whole time until I took her to the hospital in an ambulance, and a doctor ordered you to stop giving her any type of medication that would continue to thin her blood because this wound needs to stop bleeding. It won't on blood thinners. That's common sense. And it's criminal, man. I'm going to get the money from my mom's funeral for her cremation. I'll get it. Period. So, I mean, I've tried every legal route I can try. I've tried to reach out to these people that's there that tells people like me, the ones that you don't want to see in the middle of the night, to fill out applications or to reach out to this organization. Try this, try that, try this. Y'all didn't back y'all words. Y'all didn't back y'all ethical code. Y'all didn't back y'all code of conduct. Y'all didn't even back y'all mission statement. Michigan government has no compassion for its citizens. The United States government has no compassion for its citizens. It went as far as me calling Amazon, man, to say, hey, look, I've been a loyal customer with y'all for a while. It's emergency. We in emergency disaster relief zone. Michigan declared emergency disaster relief. It's COVID-19 going on. I got a dead body in the house. Y'all can't help? Bezos, you got billions and you can't help? $1,800? Man, but I'm spending my money with you though. Ain't that about a bitch, man? So I don't expect y'all to care like I care, man. I just expect y'all to I want to give y'all a heads up. Because even though in this situation, man, I ain't broke. I ain't broke down. I ain't stopped. I ain't laid down and gave up. I'm going to make something happen, and I'm going to still be there for my family, immediate family. Still be the man that I got to be. Still live on, and still make sure that my mom still holds on to any kind of scrap of dignity she can hold on to, because that woman did me right my whole life, man. Been there for me like nobody ever will, and I love her, man. All right.